very good morning to all of you, honorable dignitaries and excellencies on the dais, industry leaders, all the lovers of this Mother Earth who want to save this earth. It's indeed a pleasure to join all of you this morning to this Economic Times Energy Summit, a summit which I think is important not only for Economic Times, as was mentioned, but also for our entire globe. When we are really passing through a time when climate mitigation is not something to be postponed, but it is something here and now, and we need to address how to look at decarbonization of the economy and so on. So this summit is at a juncture when we are really in a transition phase. So we all know that India is one of the world's fastest growing economies that support 18% of the global population. And despite having a very modest GDP per capita and modest power consumption per capita among the G20 countries, India ranks the fifth largest economy globally. This is something which we should take pride of, and we are on the path to become a developed nation by 2047, as given by a clarion call by our Honorable Prime Minister. Balancing economic growth with the need to meet climate goals, especially achieving 50% of energy needs from renewable sources by 2030, it presents a dual challenge. Therefore, energy production and consumption must undergo significant transformation. On its Amrit Kal journey, India aims to strategically transform into a 5 trillion economy and attain a human development index level on par with advanced nations, namely HDI of 0.9 to 0.95, and pursue its net zero emission target by 2070. As you all know, that this HDI, it incorporates many points when it is calculated. For example, the income, education and health and other parameters. And we need to see how India goes up on this HDI index. Now, global trends show a close link between income and per capita energy consumption. So I thought this graph might be interesting. In the next 25 years, for reaching HDI of 0.7 or 0.8 or 0.9, India's per capita final energy consumption would be almost 31 gigajoules, 39 gigajoule per year, and 56 gigajoule per year. So if you look at this, it shows how the HDI of India has grown and how the average HDI of the world, this is the black one is the world, and the average is roughly, India is 0.645 averaged over all the states. And this is something which I was saying, that if we need to reach human development index of 0.7, we need 31 gigajoule per year per capita, 39 gigajoule if you want a HDI of 0.8, and 0.9 HDI estimate is that we must have 56 gigajoule per year per capita energy consumption. This is from the trends which have been seen so far, and this is the expected requirement on the energy. This graph looks at a closer look at India's state level HDI it is not uniform across India. These are the various points. 2016 is the blue curve, blue dots, and orange is 2019. So you can see that the states, all the states are showing an increase in HDI, and you can see that if we want to keep it going on the level that we need to have an HDI of 0.8 to 0.9, all the states have to work together to make it happen. Now, with access to electricity and meeting the energy demands, high HDI can be achieved for all the states. Now, recently, our office released a report of the study titled Synchronizing Energy Transition Towards Possible Net Zero for India, Affordable and Clean Energy for All. This was prepared by IIM Ahmedabad with Dr. Amit Garg as PI. This is available on our website as well as on many other platforms. And this study highlights the complexity of achieving India's net zero target. If you look at this report, not only there is a diversity of technological interventions required, but also an average annual investment of almost 40 to 50 billion dollars over the next 5 decades is needed for energy transition. So here in this graph, we have put various energy options for India, be it coal, hydro, nuclear, biomass, gas, solar, with CCS, carbon capture and sequestration, and wind. So all these things are telling what is our requirement, how much we need to invest, not only by government, but also by the private sector to achieve the target which we are looking for. So this report compares various energy mix scenario to identify combinations to access per capita energy consumption so that we can achieve an HDI of 0.9 or higher. Now, this increase depends on factors such as climate change impact on energy use, a high share of electrification in the energy mix, increased urbanization, more equitable consumption, and the adoption of new technologies like low carbon and green hydrogen, advanced photovoltaics, and small modular reactors for nuclear power. Now, the bottom line of all this, I don't want to drown you with all the numbers, that there is no silver bullet to achieve net zero. We need to do everything, all the energy options we need to pursue. So the key takeaways from this report, I will just say in terms of 5 bullets, that the report identifies that by 2070, the increase in electricity as a percentage of energy demand from 18.3% in 2021, it will increase to almost 50% by 2070. This we have to be aware, and a diverse range of technologies must coexist within India's energy mix. Low carbon or clean hydrogen is expected to be a prominent future energy carrier. Renewable, nuclear, carbon capture and storage, and hydrogen are projected to contribute to net zero transition under various scenarios based on technological advancements and relative economics. So this report does a quantitative analysis of all these energy options and what it means for the carbon credit and so on. So another factor which is very, very important is affordability to end user, and it is as crucial as the need for clean energy. So in this context, the report says that the cost of nuclear energy, we need to look at it is cost effective as compared to other renewable energy sources. Now, for India to achieve net zero by 2070, substantial investments in research and development and large scale deployment of various options like nuclear technologies and so on will be essential. Now, currently, over 80% of India's primary energy mix depends on fossil fuels. And this report projects that coal will remain the backbone of the country's energy system for the next 2 decades. The global average concentration of CO2 has increased by 50%, reaching 419 ppm by 2030. India, the world's third largest energy consumer, relied on fossil fuel for 89% of its energy consumption in 2023 and emitted about 2.6 gigatons of CO2 annually. Despite its high emission growth rate, you will be interested to know that India's per capita CO2 emission is about 2 tons, which is less than half the global average of 4.7 tons as of 2022. Now, given India's coal dependent energy pathways, it is essential to explore carbon management technologies, including carbon capture, utilization, and sequestration. The Indian government has prioritized CCUS as a potential solution for reducing CO2 emission, and the government bodies, public sector undertakings, and Indian industries are already researching the techno-economic feasibility and scalability of this technology. Further, carbon markets play a vital role in promoting CCUS by creating a price on carbon emissions and driving investments in emission reduction technologies. Since CCUS projects are highly capital intensive, establishing a carbon price is necessary to incentivize investment in these projects. Developing carbon markets will not only reduce emission but also provide necessary market support for adopting new mitigation methods and technologies. So, a lot of work in this CCUS is happening as we speak. Niti Aayog has done wonderful work in this over the years. This was also discussed extensively in Prime Minister's Science, Technology, Innovation Advisory Council under our office, and it was decided that it will be taken up as a mission, and Ministry of Power will be the lead ministry to put a program for CCUS. So as we speak, this is on the rollout. Now, on its path to becoming an economic development net zero nation, India must have its own strategy and policy, and green hydrogen, which was mentioned a few minutes back, is a very, very attractive option. And you will hear more from Ajay Yadav ji what is happening in this green hydrogen mission. I will not spend time, but the good news is that enormous amount of work has happened in the last 1 year, and it is a whole of government approach. All ministries, be it steel, fertilizer, Ministry of Power, Ministry of Road Transport, all are partners in this green hydrogen mission, and R&D is also being pursued, and that R&D effort is led by our office and other players, and this is something which we should be really looking forward to in coming years. In this, there are two routes, as you all know. One is, of course, the electrolysis of water, and another route which should be attractive for India is the biomass conversion to green hydrogen. Both the routes are important, and an effort is on in terms of incentives, everything in both the sectors. So this is something we think is a very, very important step, and I am very sure that we will play a leadership role in this, because a large amount of green hydrogen which will be produced will be for the export market. So our effort is to not only look at what we have a requirement for India, but also for export, and also will give us the carbon credits under 6.2 and so on. But this is all, as we speak, is happening, and I am glad to see that the progress which we have made in the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy have really set the stage for a very, very productive time ahead of all of us. Now, in this context of energy transition, our office has assembled a dedicated team of experts known as Consultative Group on E-Mobility, and we have released three comprehensive documents very recently. One is the E-Mobility R&D Roadmap for India in order to identify research areas to be taken up for cutting-edge mobility technology. Second is the technology roadmap for zero emission trucking in India. And third is the policy advisory for zero emission trucking in India. These reports again are on our website and on public domain, and they outline the technical areas and research projects that need immediate attention in the Indian context over the next 5 years to achieve self-reliance and become a global leader in innovation space. Now, I think I'll just close it by saying one or two more slides. In the realm of research and development, a very, very important component in the clean energy transition, India has made notable strides in e-mobility. This includes the absorption and adoption of foreign technologies to suit the Indian context, a market-driven increase in production, and the establishment of an e-mobility technology landscape by startups. However, there are areas with limited investment and action, such as R&D in manufacturing of promising materials like graphene, material development, and research and productionization of new storage chemistries. India should invest, and this is what is very important for this audience. You are all leaders in industry. India should invest in renewable and battery technologies using domestic mineral resources. As energy storage demand rises, developing technologies for the reuse, recovery, and recycling of critical minerals will become crucial. So refurbishing, recycling, and mineral recovery will not only be vital in meeting future mineral demands, but also reduce import dependencies. The path ahead requires intensified R&D on next generation energy storage, advanced EV components, and sustainable materials and recycling techniques. So simultaneously developing robust infrastructure, including a comprehensive and dependable charging network and smart grid integration, is essential for optimum energy use. Needless to say, policy support through incentives, subsidiary, and regulatory framework will speed up market adoption, while public-private partnership can allocate resources and foster innovation. So my last slide, that the Bharat Zero Emission Trucking Advisory Policy, which I mentioned, outlines 30 policy interventions across 5 key areas: incentives, regulations, infrastructure, business and financing, and stakeholder-centric policies. These interventions aim to benefit stakeholders throughout the entire zero-emission trucking deployment supply chain. By implementing these measures, India can spearhead the global e-mobility revolution, fostering economic growth and minimizing environmental impact. So I will close this by saying that we have to move towards net zero energy autonomy, and science and technology are really must to lead to new innovations for energy autonomy of Viksit Bharat. I wish you all the very best in this 2 days deliberations, and I'm sure the recommendations will go a long way for India to achieve net zero carbon. Thank you very much.